Before this story begins, let me tell you what it is about. It is about a night when I received a message from an unknown number. No name. No profile. Just a short text, "I can see you." I told myself it was a prank. Spam. Some kid messing around. That happens. Phones receive random messages. I deleted it. Ignored it. Went back to what I was doing. But minutes later another message arrived. Same number. Same cold words, "I am inside." My stomach tightened. Inside? Inside what? My house? My phone? My mind? I laughed nervously. Impossible. Technology glitches. Hackers. Horror stories exaggerate. I locked the door, double-checked it, and tried to relax. Nothing could get in. That is what doors are for. Safety. Boundaries. But then I heard something. A faint sound from the hallway. A soft step. Not loud. Barely noticeable. I told myself it was the building settling. Old floors creak. That happens. I listened. Silence. Good. Nothing. I exhaled. My heart still raced, but logic returned. Just imagination. Then it happened again, another step. Closer. Deliberate. Not random. Someone walking. I froze. I live alone. No visitors. No roommates. Just me. So who was there? I walked to the door slowly. Peered through the peephole. Empty hallway. No movement. No shadow. Relief washed over me briefly. See? Nothing. But as I turned away, I noticed something on the floor. A footprint. Damp. Small. Fresh. Not mine. I stared. My breath caught. Someone had been inside. Impossible. I hadn't opened the door. It remained locked. Yet evidence existed. I backed away, heart pounding. This couldn't be real. But it was. Something had entered. And it was still here. Watching. Waiting. For those watching on YouTube or Facebook from a computer, PC, or television, please subscribe or follow the channel or page. Thank you. I stared at the footprint on the floor, trying to convince myself it was nothing. Dirt. Water. Something I tracked in earlier and forgot. That happens. Small mistakes. Human memory is unreliable. I knelt down and touched it. Cold. Damp. Fresh. My stomach dropped. This was not old. Someone had been here recently. Inside my apartment. I looked around, scanning the room. Everything seemed normal, furniture in place, door still locked, no signs of forced entry. Yet the footprint remained. Evidence. Proof. I swallowed hard. No. Impossible. Doors don't open themselves. Apartments don't allow strangers inside. I double-checked the lock. Secure. I rattled it. Solid. Good. That meant I was safe. Right? I told myself it was paranoia. Stress. Nighttime imagination. Old buildings make strange noises and shadows trick the mind. That happens. I stood up, forcing calm. I would clean the footprint. Forget about it. Move on. But as I turned, I noticed something else, small marks on the wall. Scratches. Thin lines. Not deep, but deliberate. Like something had dragged across the surface. My breath quickened. No. This was too much. I approached the wall, touching the marks. Rough. Recent. Not normal wear. Someone, or something, had been here. I backed away, heart racing. My rational mind screamed for explanations. Maybe maintenance. Workers. A neighbor. But maintenance doesn't enter without notice. Neighbors don't scratch walls. I checked the hallway again. Empty. No movement. Yet the feeling remained, being watched. Observed. I told myself to breathe. In. Out. In. Out. Fear feeds itself. Attention makes it stronger. I would ignore it. That was the plan. If I didn't acknowledge it, it couldn't hurt me. But deep down I knew I was lying. Something had entered. And it was still here. For those watching on YouTube or Facebook from a computer, PC, or television, please subscribe or follow the channel or page. Thank you. I stood in the middle of the room, staring at the scratches on the wall. They weren't deep, but they were new. Fresh. That meant something had touched the surface recently. I told myself it was nothing, old paint cracking, natural wear. Houses age. Walls change. That happens. But these marks looked deliberate. Lines dragged across the plaster, uneven and intentional. My stomach tightened. No. This was imagination. Stress. Nighttime paranoia. The human mind creates threats when it feels unsafe. I repeated it like a mantra. It helped slightly. I turned away from the wall, focusing on normal things, the furniture, the door, the faint hum of the building. Everything seemed ordinary. That should have comforted me. It didn't. The footprint remained on the floor, small and damp. Evidence. I knelt again, touching it. Cold. Fresh. Impossible. I hadn't tracked anything in. The apartment had been clean. I swallowed hard. Someone had been inside. I searched the room more carefully. Under the table. Behind the curtains. Inside closets. Nothing. No person. No signs of movement. Yet the evidence remained. I backed away, heart pounding. This couldn't be real. But it was. I tried calling someone. Anyone. My phone showed no signal. Of course. No connection. I laughed nervously. Technology fails sometimes. That happens. I would try again later. I paced the room, thinking. Maybe a neighbor. Maintenance. A mistake. But neighbors don't enter without permission. Maintenance leaves notes. There was nothing. No explanation. I stopped near the window, staring outside. Darkness. The city was quiet. Too quiet. No distant sounds, no cars, no movement. Just stillness. I shivered. Something was wrong. Deeply wrong. I turned back to the room. The scratches on the wall seemed darker now. More pronounced. I blinked. They remained. My breath quickened. No. This was imagination. I refused to believe otherwise. But deep down I knew the truth, someone had been here. And they might still be watching. I tried convincing myself it was paranoia. The scratches, the footprint, explainable things. Old buildings shift. Paint cracks. Floors collect dust. That happens. I repeated it, forcing logic. But my instincts refused to calm down. The air felt different, heavier, colder, like something lingering just out of sight. I scanned the room again. Everything looked normal. Furniture in place. Door locked. No movement. Yet the sense of presence remained. Watching. Quiet. Patient. I swallowed hard. No. This was stress. Lack of sleep. The human mind exaggerates danger when tired. I told myself to breathe. In. Out. In. Out. It helped slightly. My heart still raced, but I could think. I approached the wall again, studying the scratches. They weren't random. Thin lines, deliberate. Someone had dragged something across the surface. My fingers traced one. Rough. New. Not natural wear. I jerked my hand back. No. Impossible. No one had been here. The door remained locked. I double-checked it. Solid. Secure. Good. That meant safety. Boundaries. I exhaled, trying to relax. I would clean the marks, forget about it, move on. Small disturbances don't define reality. That's what I told myself. But as I turned away, I noticed something else, a faint smell. Not strong. Subtle. Like damp earth. Or something old. My stomach twisted. I sniffed again. It remained. Where was it coming from? I searched the room, looking under furniture, near the window, behind objects. Nothing. No source. The smell lingered. I backed away, uneasy. This was too much. Footprints. Scratches. Strange odors. I had explanations for some, but not all. I tried calling someone again. Still no signal. My phone remained useless. I cursed under my breath. Technology always fails at the worst times. That happens. I would try later. I paced the room, thinking. Maintenance? No. They notify residents. Neighbors? Impossible. The door was locked. No forced entry. Yet evidence existed. Someone, or something, had been inside. I sank onto the bed, trying to calm myself. The room felt different, heavier, colder, as if the very walls had shifted. I told myself to relax. Focus on ordinary things. The bed, the ceiling, the hum of the building. That helps. But the footprint remained on the floor. The scratches on the wall still stared at me. Evidence. Proof that someone, or something, had been here. I refused to look out the window, but the darkness outside seemed to pulse, almost alive. I whispered to myself that morning would come, sunlight would fix everything, and the world would feel normal again. In. Out. In. Out. Breathe. But the feeling of being watched didn't leave. My heart pounded, my pulse raced, and the air around me felt thick. Then I heard it, a faint sound, almost imperceptible. Like breathing. Slow. Patient. Outside the window. I froze, barely daring to move. No breeze. No wind. Just that soft, deliberate sound. My stomach churned. Something was there. Waiting. I told myself it was imagination, but I knew better. There was no explanation for the footprint, the scratches, and the sound together. I needed light. I needed connection. I reached for my phone. Dead. No signal. Black screen. My hands shook. I tried the lamp. Nothing. Darkness remained. I whispered curses, demanded answers, tried to convince myself it was nothing. But deep down I knew it wasn't. My mind screamed at me to leave, to run, but I felt trapped. Paralyzed. My room, the place I thought was safe, had turned hostile. The night had chosen me. And I wasn't leaving unscathed. For those watching on YouTube or Facebook from a computer, PC, or television, please subscribe or follow the channel or page. Thank you. I couldn't stay on the bed any longer. My body shook, but I forced myself to stand. Every step toward the door felt heavier than the last, like moving through thick air. I needed to escape. To leave this room, this apartment, this nightmarish space. But as I reached the hallway, I noticed something chilling, a second footprint, smaller, damp, leading from the living room toward the bedroom. My breath caught. Someone had been inside while I sat frozen, paralyzed by fear. I tried to rationalize, neighbors, intruders, maintenance, but no one had access, no one could enter unnoticed. The evidence stared at me, footprints, scratches, strange sounds, and now the undeniable fact that someone, or something, had been here. I backed away, heart racing, panic consuming me. The air thickened. The darkness seemed to shift, curling toward me. I stumbled back into the bedroom. The window glowed faintly, a black reflection no longer empty. A face. Not mine. Pale, hollow eyes staring through the glass, unblinking. I screamed, but the sound was swallowed by silence. It moved, slowly, deliberately, as if testing me. Then, just as suddenly, it vanished. The reflection returned to normal. The footprints remained. The scratches remained. I realized then that the apartment hadn't been invaded by an outsider. It had never needed one. It was alive. It fed on fear, attention, and presence. That night, I learned a terrifying truth: some places don't just house people, they trap them. And I had become part of it. For those watching on YouTube or Facebook from a computer, PC, or television, please subscribe or follow the channel or page. Thank you.